Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called How Arnold Schwarzenegger Got Rich with Real Estate. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, follow, and comment on the show, as well as to tell you about a company called HollywoodIsCalling.com. It allows you to purchase live phone calls with more than 100 movie stars and actors. The 15-second live calls are $19.95 and the 30-second live calls are $29.95. So give it a try. It's a lot of fun. Buy one for yourself or buy one as a gift for somebody you care about and surprise the heck out of them. Actually, you should tell them that the call is coming so they can look forward to it and not assume that it's some kind of prank. So give it a try. HollywoodIsCalling.com. Now let's get started. Everyone already knows the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger. First, he became famous for bodybuilding. Then he came to the U.S. and continued his bodybuilding career. From there, he moved on to television and movies. And after that, he went on to politics and became governor of California. What a lot of people don't know is that when Arnold came to this country, the first thing he did was he got involved in real estate. And that allowed him to make his first fortune. Back in Austria, when he was still a young man, he won several Austrian bodybuilding championships. I believe it was 3 years in a row. And because of that, he was able to save up his contest winnings, and those amounted to a total of about $27,000. That was enough money to allow him to come to California. Despite having a thick accent and speaking very slowly in a way that created the impression that he wasn't very bright, Arnold was actually extremely intelligent and very ambitious. While it was always his goal to get into acting, the first thing he did was he got set up at Gold's Gym. That's the famous bodybuilding gym in Venice Beach. While there and working on his bodybuilding, he started a small mail order business, which allowed him to generate additional money. He got his first role in 1969, starring in a movie called Hercules in New York. The movie paid him approximately $27,000 back then, which is about $200,000 in today's money. Everyone knows that Arnold's one of the biggest actors in the world. He can't even walk down the street without attracting a huge crowd of fans. But what very few people realize is that Arnold became a millionaire in his 20s. What's interesting is that he didn't make his first fortune from acting. He made it from real estate. The first thing Arnold did was to use his savings to acquire his first rental building for about $215,000. It was a 4-unit building, and he lived in one of the units so that he wouldn't have to pay rent. A year later, Arnold sold that building for $350,000 and used the money to buy another building which had 12 apartments. Next, he sold that building and purchased another apartment building which had 36 apartments. After that, he bought a 100-unit apartment building. Each time Arnold sold his building, he used the profits to purchase another one in a way that allowed him to avoid paying taxes on his profits. He would continue to acquire all sorts of real estate in Los Angeles. He continued buying apartments, office buildings, and condominiums. At one point, he purchased a building for about $450,000 and resold it for more than $2 million. He also made another $7 million from the sale of a building in Nevada that cost him very little to purchase just a few years earlier. Arnold was constantly monitoring, evaluating, and analyzing the real estate market in Southern California and always looking for the next opportunity. As fate would have it, Arnold was living through the golden age of real estate prosperity in Southern California at that time. If he had begun his real estate accumulation and acquisition process just a few years after that, it probably would have been too expensive for him to gain entree into. By the time Arnold was 25, he was already a millionaire. This was extremely fortuitous because having money allowed Arnold to say no to some of the really bad acting roles that he was being offered and choose only the ones that were worth participating in. That's how he began to build up his career, not by being a struggling actor, but instead by having his own money, and this gave him the freedom to pick only the best only the best projects, I should say. In the meantime, he continued to pursue real estate opportunities everywhere, from coast to coast. It's been reported that to this very day, Arnold has more than 100 businesses in Southern California and that he continues to expand. They say that his real estate holdings alone are worth more than $300 million. That doesn't include the hundreds of millions of dollars he's made from his acting career. He also, get ready for this, he also purchased a 747 jumbo jet worth $130 million and leased it back to Singapore Airlines. Airline companies like leaseback agreements because it reduces the risk of aircraft ownership. To this very day, Arnold continues to grow and expand his business interests. He is producing bodybuilding events all around the world, and they are growing in popularity every year. Now, while the Mr. Olympia contest used to be the biggest bodybuilding competition in the world, it is now widely believed that the Arnold Schwarzenegger Sports Festival is well on its way to outgrowing the Olympia in popularity. So what can you learn from Arnold? What can people learn from his various business interests and practices? Well, there are a few qualities that he's possessed over the years that have made him success. First of all, Arnold was born into extreme poverty in Austria. He once said that they didn't even have running water in their house when he was younger. There's something about people who were born in extreme poverty that causes them to work much harder to rise above it than most people who are born in comfortable lives. It gives them a completely different view of the world. They don't see problems as problems. They see them as opportunities that can be fixed with tremendous work and effort. These traits are really common in most immigrants. The next thing that allowed Arnold to succeed repeatedly was that he always turned his weaknesses into strengths. When Hollywood agents told him producers would never hire somebody with an accent as thick as his, he began taking speech lessons to help him with his accent, and also he began using humor to somehow make his thick accent more charming. When he first started making inquiries about purchasing a 747 on his own, almost everyone at that time told him that individuals cannot buy a 747. So what did Arnold do? He called in the key decision makers, he brought them in for a presentation, and ended up convincing them to sell him the 747 because he had a plan to make a great deal of money with it by leasing it back from Singapore Airlines at the time. The next quality that Arnold demonstrates is tremendous persistence. He was famous for working out at the gym longer and harder than almost anyone else. That allowed him to achieve levels of growth and success in bodybuilding that others couldn't match. He also had the ability to partner with the right people at the right time. This meant that he could partner his strengths and his abilities with the abilities and expertise of other individuals in other professions. And that would allow him to tremendously expand his opportunities. Lastly, I think there is another quality that gave Arnold a huge advantage. One thing that bodybuilding and exercise does is to reduce or eliminate your fear of pain. If you exercise or lift weights for a long enough period of time, pain and discomfort not only become meaningless, but eventually you don't even notice them. And because of that, you carry that same sense of positivity and indestructibility into other aspects of your life. Whether it's your business life, your social life, all aspects of your life become elevated because your pain thresholds have now been changed. You can now endure much more than most people could. That makes you bolder and more aggressive and can help you tremendously. So with that, I want to wish you good luck and thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.